Hey everybody! I hope you all had a great weekend. It's time to start our learning for the week. This is Learning of Little Tweet and I'm Mrs. Hill. Today is Monday, May 18th, and we're working on day 34 lessons. We can do this. I know we're getting a little bit tired, guys, but keep working hard. You're really growing your brains. You're doing such an awesome job. Okay, keep it up. So here's what you need for today. We're going to start with our reading and word work. We need the We Depend on Trees song. And then last week we did these two reflections, and then today we're doing the one on the bottom. So it says day 34 right here. Then for word work, we're going to be using this little reader called The Bowling Alley. So if you have this, you can go ahead and pull it out. If you don't have this book, that is all right. The words, the text from this book are actually right here. So at the top of the paper, it says day 35. And then here we have cycle 22 word list, and the text from The Bowling Alley is right here as well. So you can just grab this paper. Actually, even if you have this book, you might want to grab this paper in case you want to do some writing on here. So also, we are going to practice working on some sight words. So if you have a whiteboard and a dry erase marker, you might want to pull those out so that you can practice on your whiteboard. If you don't have a whiteboard and dry erase marker, that's okay. Just grab a piece of paper and a pencil. All right, guys, it's time to get started. So go ahead and pause the video and get your materials. All right, let's get started. So our learning target for today says, I can identify the author's opinion about trees. So remember, the author is the person who wrote the text or the song or the poem, whatever you're reading. And then their opinion is how they think or feel about something. And remember, guys, everybody has different opinions. Not everybody thinks and feels the same things, right? And that's all right. So when an author's writing something, they often express their own personal opinion in their writing. So now we're going to take a look at We Depend on Trees. And this is a little song, and it's to the tune of The Farmer and the Dell. And if you guys know this song, you should absolutely sing it with me. Okay, please? That would be awesome. Here we go. We depend on trees. We depend on trees. We eat fruits and nuts and chocolates. We depend on trees. Caterpillars depend on trees. Caterpillars depend on trees. They munch on leaves just as they please. Caterpillars depend on trees. Deer depend on trees. Deer depend on trees. They feed on bark in day or dark. Deer depend on trees. Squirrels depend on trees. Squirrels depend on trees. They scarf down seeds and nuts with ease. Squirrels depend on trees. Birds depend on trees. Birds depend on trees. They fly in line to eat and dine. Birds depend on trees. All right, friends. So now we need to think about what we think the author's opinion about trees is. So last week we talked about how the word depend is in here a lot, and it definitely lists a lot of different creatures that depend on trees. So what do you think that tells us about the author's opinion about trees? Why don't you think about that? And how about you whisper to Little Tweet what you think? I think that Little Tweet probably agrees with you. So when I'm thinking about what the author's opinion probably is, this whole song is about how people and animals depend on trees. So this author must think that trees are very important to a lot of creatures and that a lot of different creatures depend on trees. I can definitely see that opinion all throughout this song, that trees are really important to a lot of creatures. So let's take a look at our reflection here. Remember, we're down at the bottom of the page where it says day 34, we depend on trees. This is actually a pretty simple task, guys. You don't even have to do writing, just drawing and labeling. It says, draw and label a picture of one of the reasons the author gives to support her opinion about trees. I'll read that again. Draw and label a picture of one of the reasons the author gives to support her opinion about trees. All right, so if we agree that the author's opinion is that a lot of creatures depend on trees and trees are very important, then we need to think about one of the reasons the author believes that. One of the things she talks about in the song. Now, I know last week you guys drew a picture of one animal that depends on trees, but I told you it didn't have to be from this poem or this song. This time it does, because we're actually specifically talking about this author's opinion and one reason that she believes that trees are important and that animals depend on trees. So you can draw a picture of people eating fruit, nuts, chocolate, anything else that you can think of that humans might need from trees. Caterpillars, she talks about how caterpillars munch on leaves. That might be a cool thing to draw. It says that deer feed on bark in day or dark. So you could draw a picture of a deer eating bark from a tree. It says the squirrels scarf down seeds and nuts. So you can draw a picture of squirrels eating nuts. And it says birds fly in line to eat and dine. So what do you think birds might eat from trees? Actually, a lot of different things. I know that birds definitely eat a lot of different fruit from trees, but also we learned about how woodpeckers get insects and ants from underneath the bark of trees, right? And other kinds of birds, I'm sure, find all sorts of other creatures that they can eat in the trees. All right, so I'm going to let you guys choose. I'm not going to do this because I want you guys to come up with an idea on your own, but you're going to draw one of those pictures that the author talks about, one of the animals that depends on trees, and then how they depend on trees. You're going to draw a picture of that and then write a label. So your label doesn't have to be a complete sentence, but it could be like, let's say you did the caterpillars eating leaves. You could just write caterpillars eat leaves, or you could just label caterpillar leaves. All right, why don't you guys go ahead and pause the video and complete that task. All right, everybody, now we're going to work on our little reader, the bowling alley. So do you remember last week how the words that they told us to work on in our lesson, the sight words, weren't actually in our reader? And I said, you know what, guys, I bet those words are going to be in our reader next week. Well, they are. So I think they just got the lists mixed up. But last week we practiced the words we, all, and one. And remember, this isn't one like we won the game. It's one like the number one. Like I have one little tweet. So these words, we, all, and one, actually are in our little book here called The Bowling Alley. Why don't you go ahead and either get your little reader, or if you don't have the little reader, you can pull out this paper that has it right here in the middle. It says decodable text, The Bowling Alley, and you can follow along there. Actually, how about you just watch me read it first, and then I'm going to give you guys the chance to read it, and that's where you can find it if you don't have your little reader. I bet this is going to be about some of the same characters that we've already seen, like Josh and Chip. Let's see who's in this book. There's Josh. All right, so the title is The Bowling Alley. Josh can see a pin by the can. What is it for? Is it a jug? Interesting. That word what, that would have been a good one for us to practice because that's a new word for a lot of us. What is it for? Is it a jug? Oh, there's Chip. Chip can hit one pin. There's the word one. I love how he's pushing the soccer ball. Hey, Neo just came in. Hey, Neo. Neo. Hey, buddy. Sorry, guys. a little distracting, but I just had to say hi to Neo. Josh can hit 2. Will Josh win? Chip can hit 4. Will he hit them all? There's the word all that we practiced. The pin will tip. Will Chip win? And you know what, guys? It doesn't even tell us, but it looks to me like, I don't know, it looks to me like Chip might be the winner. All right, yeah, because Josh only hit a couple, but it looks like Chip hit them all down. All right, so here's what you guys are going to do. There definitely were some pretty tricky words in that book, but what I'd like for you to do is either get your book or get your decodable paper right here. And our lesson says that while you read, you're going to focus on reading smoothly, with expression, and at just the right speed. So if you need to practice reading this book more than once, that's all right. You know, the more we read a book, the better we get. Sometimes we have to read a book several times before we feel like really comfortable with it and feel like we're better at reading it. All right, so why don't you all go ahead and pause the video and read your book. All right, friends, so the words that it wants us to work on for this week, but really I think are going to go with our little reader for next week, are the words but, not, and no. So the word but would be like, I am hungry, but it is not time for dinner yet. Okay? The word not would be like, I am not going to the party. And the word no would be like, no, I do not want to jump on the trampoline. I don't know why you wouldn't want to jump on the trampoline. That's pretty awesome. So these words are words that we're supposed to practice today, and we will spend some time practicing them. But just remember, these are probably words we're going to see in our reader next week. They are not in our reader today. Now, some of you I know already feel like you're experts at these words, so I made a list of some of the more challenging words that I saw in our reader for today. The word what, like what is your name? What can be a little bit challenging because it really looks like the word wahat, or wat. But we just have to remember that this A here kind of makes the sound, and this is the word what. So this is a great one to practice and glue in our brains. So if you feel like you're already an expert at these words and you'd rather practice these words, you can do that. So here's the word what. This is the word 2, like the number 2. I have 2 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. 2. This is the word them, like please throw the ball to them, and it has TH at the beginning. So these words are in our little reader. So I'm going to let you choose which words you would like to work on today. You can work on but, not, and no for our reader next week, or you can work on what, to, and them. Now, what you're going to do to practice your words is, if you would like to, you can practice writing them in the back of your reader if you have your reader, or you can practice them on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper. Let me show you some ideas for how you can do that. All right, here are just a few ideas of how you can practice your words. So here I showed you a couple ideas for the word not. I did not with spooky letters. Now for this one, it's going to be road letters, but what you do is you start out writing it regularly, and then you just take your finger and erase parts of it to make it look like a road. So there's the word not with road letters. And then here I'm going to write not fancy. So I just wrote it regular, and then you just add dots at all the points, and then like O doesn't have a point, so I just put a dot right there. So you can do it that way. Here I wrote the word not going down the stairs, and here I wrote the word not in a cloud. Now there are lots of other ways that you can practice writing your words, but these are just a few suggestions. All right, let me go ahead and show you the words again that you may practice and then you can spend a little time working on those words. Pause the video and work on your words.